welcome back to the Smart Start Recreational Therapy Insights YouTube show by SMART CEUs Hub. I'm your host, Nathan LeMaster, the founder of SMART CEUs Hub, and I have been stoked to be able to go through this series so far with you. Today, we're going into a subject that many, if not almost all recreational therapists deal with on a daily basis, and that is doing effective group facilitation. So today we're going to be talking about the techniques that go into effective group facilitation, and whether it's going to be a social skills group that you're leading, adaptive sports, creative arts therapy, behavioral health, working in an assisted living facility, whatever area you work in as a rec therapist, these skills are essential. And we'll be not just picking the activity, we'll be going into how to get them engaged, how to structure an activity correctly so that they are engaged, and handling the group dynamics as they come along, because as you know, things can change throughout the group. So without further ado, let's dive right on in. Okay, why does group facilitation matter? Okay, so as a rec therapist, we do a lot of groups. Okay, group sessions are the heart of many of our programs. But why does doing a group session versus an individual session matter? So why do we do these group sessions? You know, one might say that we do group sessions because we have so many patients we have to see and we have to be able to treat them all at once. I mean, that's a very real reason for a lot of us. Okay, but some things are just better done in groups than individually. Wouldn't you agree? So, for instance, the social connection aspect, right? When we're working on social skills of, person A and person B being able to get along and how they communicate to one another, they learn from one another, not just from us as the facilitators of the group, but each other as well. Okay, being in a group setting can help reduce the feelings of isolation and that anxiety that comes from, always being alone. And that'll help people get out of that funk that they're in a lot of times. Okay, doing a group session can also aid in skill development, okay, in a safe environment. Whether it's a teamwork activity, problem solving, emotional expression, practicing skills in a group setting allows clients to develop confidence and receive feedback from their peers. Okay, efficiency and impact, another reason why groups are great. As we talked about earlier, being able to see multiple clients at once can help us to be effective to more people than just one at a time, even though obviously a one-on-one with a person can be even more effective depending on what you're working on with them. So that said, running a group session takes a lot of planning, adaptability, and strong skills on your half, right? So what you bring to the table. Now we're going to go into the key elements of effective group facilitation. Folks, having a great group isn't just by accident. It's designed. Here are the core elements that create an engaging, productive session. 1, you set clear goals with the clients and expectations. Every session should have a defined purpose. So what are the goals for this session? It could be increasing mobility. It could be social skills. It could be increasing coping skills. But the goal has to be evident, and it has to be, okay, this is what we're doing and this is the purpose behind it. You need to tell the clients in the group what they're actually there for so they don't just think they're wasting time doing an activity. Okay, you're going to explain the goal at the beginning of the session so that it sets the stage for the rest of it. And then the structure and flow matters of each session. So you warm up with an icebreaker so everybody can kind of feel each other out, get to know each other, maybe get each other's names, something you like about each other or something that's unique about themselves, something that will kind of break the ice, so to speak. Hence the word icebreaker. Okay, the main activity should be structured but flexible, right? So allowing for different skill levels. It shouldn't just be like, okay, we're going to do this advanced session for these clients, and then obviously the state of flow won't be the same for the person who's never done that particular activity before versus the one who's done it like 20 million times. So you want to have some flexibility and adaptability for the skill levels. Okay, and you want to follow each session up with a debrief, a wrap up. Okay, so they need to know first what they're going to do, right? The beginning of the session, they need to do the session, and at the end, they need a reminder of what they learned, and so they can put all the pieces together. Okay, the next part of an effective group, right, is you encourage the participation without pressure. So everybody that comes, you encourage them to participate. I don't know about you, but I've had sessions where somebody's in a foul mood. They don't really want to do what we're doing, and they just sit there in the back, right? And they're like, well, I'm here. That's it. So you can write that I came to the group. Well, unfortunately, that doesn't really help them very much, but I will give them a little bit of, credit here, right? They could have stayed in the room. They could have not showed up. Okay, but they did show up. Okay, so while they're in the group, sometimes you just got to feel them out. You might provide multiple ways to participate. So they might not want to do exactly what everybody else is doing, but maybe they're comfortable drawing, and it's an expressive arts group. And instead of expressing things out loud to each other, right, maybe they spend them time in the corner amongst the group, writing what they're feeling or drawing what they're feeling. And you want to be mindful of their energy, so you kind of judge where they're at. So okay, I'm not going to be crazy over the top intense with this person who's very shy and reserved, or I'm not going to be, not making eye contact with them, or whatever else the case. You just got to read the body language and feel the room out. Okay, you're going to adapt to group needs is another part of group facilitation. Not all clients will engage the same way, right? Some people have different ideas of what they should do and what they shouldn't do, and that's okay. Okay, so be able to modify the activities on the spot. So basically have some things in your tool belt, so just in case you can expect maybe a few clients aren't going to want to do what everybody else is doing, and you have some maybe alternatives that someone else can do that will achieve similar goal results. Okay, so and then you're going to use your facilitation style wisely. Okay, maintain a balance of authority and approachability, right? You want to be the authority for the group. You don't want to be so lackadaisical that people just walk all over you, or so passive that they don't listen to you, right? But you also don't want to be a dictator to where they don't even feel like they can speak to you. I don't know if you've had teachers or therapists in the past when you were in the session or in the classroom and the teacher was so authoritative that you were just afraid of them. You don't want that to be the case. Okay, and then you're going to model enthusiasm. So the rule of thumb, and thing I like to tell a lot of people, is the group energy will never rise higher than the person leading the group. So if you start here, the group will not end up here, right? If you start here, the group might end up here, but they also have some room where they can match your energy. And if you don't give them that ability, right, you are kind of limiting the chance for fun and participation in whatever activity you're doing. All right, so if you've ever led a session where the group just wasn't engaged, which many of us, and things just didn't go as planned, don't worry, it happens. It happens to everybody, okay? So that's not a you thing, that's an everybody thing. The key is to just be flexible and keeping the bigger goal in mind. Okay, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? Okay, don't take it personally. Just think about, this is what I'm trying to do for these clients, and this person will not ruin the group for the rest of everybody else, and definitely won't ruin my day. So keep that in mind. All right, now we're going into managing group dynamics and challenges that come with managing the group. So every group has its own personality. Every person in the group has their own personality. And sometimes challenges arise based off these personalities. And here's how to handle some common group dynamic issues. So you might have some dominant participants, people that like to dominate the group. Some clients just might want to talk over everybody else and take control of whatever the group is doing. Okay, gently redirect them and say, I love your enthusiasm. Let's hear from someone else who hasn't had a chance to share yet. So kind of, I acknowledge you, because sometimes that's all they need. They just need to be acknowledged. But I also need to hear from someone else, because honestly, this group just isn't just about you. But we're not saying that out loud. Okay, so reluctant or quiet participants. Some may feel anxious about participating, right? Okay, so we're going to encourage nonverbal engagement. All right, maybe writing responses, drawing, choosing between options. So maybe you have an A, B, C, D option. Okay, so that they don't have to like be too creative or too out there. And then validate their comfort level. So don't make them feel even more anxious if they're already feeling anxious. That's the last thing you want to do in a group setting. So keep that in mind. Okay, how do you handle disruption? So anything that's off topic or disrupting your group. Okay, you're going to set ground rules from the start. That's the first and foremost thing you're going to do. Okay, you're going to say, we're going to keep our focus on the group goal today. That's what I expect from each of you. Okay, and if disruptions continue, address the individual separately from the group. Bring them to the side and say, I need to speak with you, or ask them to kind of leave the room, and you will address this with them later, just so that the rest of the group doesn't, have a negative experience because of one individual. All right, so now what do we deal with when we're dealing with emotional or behavioral outbursts? So I worked in behavioral health, and sometimes people that were withdrawing off of addictions, they would have major outbursts, right? Sometimes throwing chairs, sometimes yelling, sometimes, crying hysterically, depending on what the deal was. But you need to know how to handle those situations as well. So you're going to recognize first that some clients have strong emotional reactions. Yes, people sometimes have strong emotional reactions. You do not let their emotions control you. Okay, you are the one in control. Okay, so when they're loud, guess what you do? You stay calm. Okay, you validate their feelings. I see that you're angry, as evidenced by the fact that you're throwing that chair at me. No. I see you're angry by evidence that you're yelling, and I don't know what you need, but I'm here for you. Okay, and then you might offer some coping skills. So maybe it's like, do you need to go outside and take a walk, or do you need to go do something else right now to kind of cool off? Take 5 minutes, come back after you're feeling a little bit better. Give them something to do to kind of give them an option out. But don't take away their control, give them options. Because when somebody's angry, a lot of times that means they're feeling either fear or anxiety or a lack of control of their situation. And all they really need is to feel in control. Okay, so give them the ability to make choices and feel they're part of the decision that's happening to them. Okay, so you might also have to recruit extra staff in there. So if you got something crazy going on, you might need some techs in there that can help redirect the situation and calm things down. Now, how do you handle group conflict? So if person A and person B are yelling at each other, how do you handle that? Okay, so disagreements happen. First of all, people don't always agree. And especially when they're in there and they're not in their right frame of mind and they're not feeling great. So we're going to hear, from each person individually. We're going to allow them to speak without the other person speaking. So one person's going to talk and express what's going on and what they're feeling. Person B is also going to have that time, and you're going to let both people know that that's what's going to happen, and you will not allow them to yell back and forth. Okay? You're going to hear both perspectives, because sometimes it's not either you're right and you're wrong. Sometimes it's based off of what I'm feeling, what's going on in my head, my past experiences, what this person has said to me in the past, things that I've observed. that could be why this person arrived at their feelings and why they're having the outburst. Person B could have their own set of things, right? And both are valid. Okay, so it's not always a you're right and you're wrong, you're good, you're bad. It's not just like that. Okay, so and then you're going to try to help them find common ground. So if person A and person B are yelling over, I hate the way that you smell. Every time you come into group, you always make everybody want to leave because you stink so bad. Hey, I took a bath yesterday. Why don't you stop kissing the teacher? Whatever the thing is that they're doing, right? So maybe it's just time that maybe they just need to separate. And the common ground in this case is that, okay, yeah, you guys are both having bad days, and I can understand that you're not each other's favorite people, okay? But honestly, you guys are going to have to get along because you're going to be here for a couple more days. And, this just will not fly in my group, okay? So let them know right off the top. All right. So every challenge is an opportunity to practice flexibility and problem solving on your half. As a facilitator, your role isn't just to have the perfect session, because no session is perfect. Every session is slightly different, even if you plan it out perfectly, right? It's to guide the group through meaningful experiences. So by the end of the group, did they learn something? Did they get something? That's your goal as the facilitator. All right, some pro tips for running successful RT groups. Before we wrap up, here are some quick fire pro tips for you. First is know your group. Adjust your leadership style to fit the client's abilities and personalities. Engage through movement. Whenever possible, integrate movement or hands-on activities to kind of get them more engaged. Don't just lecture at them and talk at them. Get them moving. Get them doing something. People pay attention better when they're doing something, okay? Silence is okay, right? You don't always have to fill the empty void of silence with talking. Okay, so give clients time to process. Sometimes they're a little nervous to say something. Maybe they got something else going on in their mind. And, eventually, if you're quiet long enough, somebody's going to break. You know it. Somebody's going to throw something out there, right? And then you're going to use encouragement, not force participation. You're going to encourage them to be part of it, but you're not going to tell them, you have to do this, okay? Because nobody wants that, okay? You're going to evaluate and adapt the way you're teaching, the way you're leading the group. Okay, after the session, take a moment and reflect. Ask yourself these questions. What worked well? What could be improved? And how can the next session build on today's successes? Okay, so really evaluate what happened, what just happened here. Okay, and even the best facilitators learn as they go. Okay, I don't know if you've ever had the feeling that you're an imposter. Hopefully you don't, but every once in a while we're like, how am I going to teach this person about anger issues when, I don't always do so well with my own anger? How am I going to deal with this substance abuse thing when, on the weekends I'm drinking alcohol? The fact is you're human, okay? You're teaching coping skills. The honest truth is we're not always the best practicers of what we preach, but the goal is that we're always learning and growing. Have some grace with yourself. Go see a therapist yourself if you need to get some stuff off your chest, because we all do. We all have stressful jobs, especially if you're hearing about people's problems all day. You need somebody else to talk to. The best therapists have therapists. So keep that in mind. All right, now we're on to the wrap up and takeaway. Let's recap some main points from today. 1, group sessions are powerful for social engagement, skill building, and maximizing therapeutic support. 2, successful facilitation involves clear goals, structured activities, and adaptive engagement strategies. 3, handling challenges requires patience, flexibility, and good conflict resolution skills. And 4, great facilitators reflect and adapt, right? They learn from their mistakes. Okay, thank you guys so much for joining me again for week number 9 of the Smart Start Recreational Therapy Insights YouTube show by SMART CEUs Hub. Again, I'm your host, Nathan LeMaster. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to put these episodes together. And if you find any value whatsoever, please like and subscribe. Hit that like button, click that subscribe button, and so you get these videos on your feed weekly as we send them out every Monday at 7 a.m. Central. I hope you guys have a great week. And as always, recreational therapists, stay classy.